If OSHA has taught me literally anything at all, it's that the workplace isn't always the most safe place, especially when you see a video and it's absolutely one of the most disgusting things you've ever seen. However, today we're not talking about some, compression machine or anything like that. Today we're talking about an oil rig and how, some of the most cosmic horror of all time can actually be experienced there. Now, of course, this isn't necessarily real life yet. We still got to see how that Gulf oil spill works out. But today we're actually talking about a game that's coming out very soon called Still Wakes the Deep. Now, this is actually the second video I'm making for this game on my channel, but last time we didn't know everything there was to know about the game yet. However, we finally kind of summed up everything there is to know, as the game's coming out very soon. So for your immediate need to knows, let's keep it like this. The game is coming from Chinese Room, who you may know mostly from Dear Esther, or even Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, two puzzle and walking simulator games that are at really high praise. They also did Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs, which was probably their most direct form of horror up till this point. Up until they announced that they're working on Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, of course, in which case I feel bad for the team because no matter what they put out, it's going to be, rough to hear about. But for an actual horror game, they're actually making Still Wakes the Deep. So that's really, really exciting. And from what they've shown, I think they've got a good grasp of what's going on. The publisher for the game is Secret Mode, and they're putting out the game on June 18th, 2024 on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series consoles, where, of course, on PC and Xbox, you can play day one on Game Pass. And that's going to be for $34.99 US, and that's for roughly about 6 hours of playtime. So not too bad given the price. In my opinion, it really just depends on the quality of that playtime. And those are your need to knows. That's pretty much everything you absolutely have to know. Now, as for what the game actually is on a more narrowed down level, you are an offshore oil rig worker, fighting for your life through a vicious storm, perilous surroundings, and the dark, freezing North Sea waters. All lines of communication have been severed. All exits are gone. All that remains is to face the unknowable horror that's come aboard. And I feel like they've been actually pretty cheeky about a lot of this within the trailers for the game itself. And it's been a perfect tease of not knowing exactly what's going on. Though I want to make it clear off the bat that this isn't just a walking simulator style game. This is more, from my knowledge, a lot closer to resembling one of those hide and seek styled horror games. Maybe not entirely, but at the very least there are chase sequences, because there are two gameplay difficulty options, one of which being the full experience where you can die, and the other being the one that eliminates a lot of the actual deadly factor and leaves it more of a story experience. So if you want to enjoy a creepy narrative, that's going to be cool too. But ultimately, your goal is going to be to escape the rig. You're going to avoid, distract, and sneak around in the best attempts to survive. With no weapons, no powers, just your wits and determination. You'll need to run, climb, and swim through the flooding corridors and the storm-lashed outer decks. And it'll be a true struggle for survival, as one wrong step could be your last. And that's where I wanted to talk a bit about some of the devlogs they've put out for the game so far. Because one thing that I keep hearing is how the actual rig itself is a lot of the personality for the game, a lot of the actual horror itself. The already terrifying setting with actual horror creatures on board is the promise to be something truly great, and one of them can bounce off the other to amplify to a truly memorable experience. And one of the quotes I want to give was actually talking about the sense of presence within this world on this oil rig. As Still Wakes the Deep is a first-person narrative experience, we want the player to have a strong connection to the character and feel grounded within the environment. This means the inputs need to feel meaningful. There must be consequences to the way you move around the world, and the character has to have a physical presence to increase the sense of embodiment. Seeing more than just the hands performing the actions in front of the camera was essential. We wanted to see the entire body traversing the world and not feel like the camera is attached to a weightless entity. And I have to say, that is genuinely one of the strongest aspects that I'm seeing, but that attention to detail really doesn't end there either. One of the other quotes that I pulled out from one of the devlogs was actually talking about working with realistic water. Water in Still Wakes the Deep plays a major role in the game. The ocean surrounds the oil rig and has you trapped and isolated in the middle of the North Sea. We want the player to experience emotions of fear and dread when confronting water in-game. It's a deadly obstacle the player must have to navigate to survive. To provoke a genuine emotion of fear, the fidelity of the water needs to be realistic and believable, from the way the water is simulated to the way the character interacts with it and moves through the water. It all must contribute to a sense of realism. Working with a water simulation creates challenges as soon as any object needs to interact with it. Objects floating in the water, VFX playing on the surface of the water, the character moving through water, all have an added level of complexity simply because the water surface is dynamic. And these two examples really accentuate, in my opinion, the attention to detail of the development team in making what could truly be a great horror experience. Combining that with the fact that the soundtrack is going to be from Jason Graves, in my opinion, the most notable piece of work was Until Dawn, as well as other, Dark Pictures style games like that. But all of these things show the perfect promise, and this really sealed the deal when in one of the devlogs they talked about how some people from the QA team, the quality assurance team, testing the game for bugs and things like that someone actually couldn't handle the game and had to leave the project because they were so scared, which I think is so exciting. And I think people have different thresholds of, fear factor, that different people react in different ways. I understand that. However, I think there's a lot to like about this game, and if you're excited for this game, let me know down below. If you're not excited, why are you watching this video? That doesn't make sense. And if you made it this far, please consider sharing the video, or at least liking and subscribing. That would help me out a bunch. I'm really trying to grow this channel into something that can be more than what it is now. And all of this helps towards doing what I'm really passionate about, and that is more of a long form style video. I want to talk about a game for hours that I really love, and right now the game that I'm currently working on is Alien Isolation. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, in October is the 10-year anniversary of that game, and I really, really am excited to maybe put something out for it. Regardless, thank you so much for watching this video. It means a lot to me, and yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.